Dope, Jake, right?
Are you serious? You didn't tell me you. I couldn't hear anything before. I didn't.
I don't know what happened. I don't know. I just enjoyed the song. Could you hear it?
No, I didn't hear anything on my end.
Really? Maybe I could. Maybe I was the only one that could hear it because I wasn't on the show. I don't know. Anyway, I enjoyed it. Should we play it again?
Can we ask? Let's ask the people in the chat. Did everyone hear the music in the beginning?
Probably.
Just type a number 1 if you heard the music. Myself on this end, I did not hear. I can hear you now, but I didn't hear that intro. I heard Mountain Streams music. I didn't hear Brent's.
Oh, what about this song?
Oh, so everyone else heard it? I don't know why I didn't hear the initial graphic.
Can you hear it?
But yes.
You can.
I just couldn't in the beginning.
Oh, neither could I.
She's all that I know. She's over me. She's over me. She's behind her hypnotic dance. She's holding me with only a glance. She's over me.
Should you give him a little taste?
I love that jam, Jake. I love that jam. Welcome to Mountain Stream, my man. How you been, Jake?
What a long week, Adam. What a long week. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good. I mean,
great.
Long, I wouldn't say long. I would say it was a very positive and productive week here at the Homestead. Yet again, surviving the lockdown, making the most of it, spending time with the girl, making good dinners, cleaning up around the yard, getting the vegetables growing and trying to get them ready for the outdoors where they belong. Painted the backside of the garage yesterday.
Ooh, what color?
It's called Dry Sage, the body color, and then the trim is called Cordovan Brown. It was the nicest day of the year yesterday, Jake. You can see maybe I got a little sun yesterday. I was out there. I did put sunscreen on the back of the neck though this time because it's pretty, nicest day of the year, Jake.
I'm telling you, yeah, we had hawks screaming overhead all afternoon. Bluebirds, sunny skies.
Yeah.
T-shirt weather. T-shirt weather. And it's going to snow. It's going to snow tonight. We're supposed to get an inch.
I know. It's like Mother Nature. Are you serious?
Life in the Adirondacks, Adam.
Life in the Adirondacks. That's how it goes. It's how it goes, Jake. When I was like checking things out yesterday, it was like up until yesterday, there was no like peeper frogs going berserk. There was no songbirds whipping around.
Yeah.
And, I even saw some buds on some trees. All of a sudden, they were just there. One day, it went from, everything wanted to go boom, but it couldn't because it was so cold and windy and weird. One day, boom. It's amazing.
Had my first mosquito buzz by me yesterday. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
And it buzzed, and then it kind of brushed my elbow, and I'm thinking now there's no way that's a black fly already, but mosquito, like it was so warm, like
Jake, they're coming. They're on their way, bud. They're on their way. Black flies too, bud. Black flies too. Jake, tonight we have been waiting for this experience for quite some time. Anybody that watched the promo that we did earlier knows that we've been wondering. Well, when the opportunity would happen, and here we are. We're here, Mountain Stream number 7. I can't believe we're all the way up to number 7. That's like a milestone, don't you think, Jake? Number 7? How did it happen so quick?
That's 2 after 5, Adam.
Jake, how did it happen so quickly? All the way, we're at number 7 already.
Gals, we couldn't be here without the 32 people out here watching. We got we got some Portillions and some blue line Bigfooters.
Now, why do you think we have Portillions on tonight, Jake? Why?
The Portillions.
Why?
Well, they're kind of like a brother from another mother, They're like family, only not they're second cousin. Well, you know why, Adam. I don't have to tell you. I don't have to tell these guys. I'm preaching to the choir.
I think we should let everybody know. Everybody's here for a guy. They all want to talk. Let's get down and talk real substance with our friend, YouTuber, Paranormal Portal host, Mr. Brent Thomas. Brent, thank you for coming on our show, buddy. It is a pleasure to have you here.
The pleasure is all mine, guys. I'm just thrilled to be here, and thank you so much for the invite. And thank you to you guys for all the support and love you've given our show as well. I mean, it's just been amazing. You guys have been incredible, and I really appreciate it. So it's my honor to be here talking with you.
What?
That's awesome, buddy. Thank you.
Yeah.
Tears are right there, just barely right inside.
Yeah.
Cheers. Cheers.
Oh, cheers too. But I got water. But
I do too. Big one.
I got some water.
It's good too. Lemon water.
I now have water envy, but you know, mine's still good.
Excellent. Brent. You're a busy guy. You're a busy guy. Everybody knows it. You're constantly out there putting the shows together. Just the little amount of substance me and Jake put out, we know how much work goes into this stuff. We do. Mm-hmm. You were backstage with us before we went live, and you saw what was going on. Right?
I did. Yeah.
So how the heck do you do it, man? How many let's just, for people who may not know, what's your show all about? You have your Paranormal Portal, the YouTube channel. Do you do a show regularly? How often do you put shows out?
Well, we do YouTube shows 7 days a week. So Monday through Monday, there's a YouTube live YouTube show at 7 p.m. Pacific time. Wednesdays and Fridays and Saturdays are all 2-hour shows, but otherwise they're 1-hour shows on the other days. And then we do 3 podcasts per week as well, which are 1 hour each as well. So that's 10 shows a week.
Whew. That's some heavy hitting. Me and Jake were just like, we'll make up for it. We'll just do one really terrible 5-hour show and call it good, like we did something, but we didn't really do anything, did we, Jake?
No, nothing like that. I mean, what was the first day the first day that the Paranormal Portal dropped onto the YouTubes?
YouTube, God, I don't know. Probably Don knows that more than I do. It's just kind of a blur now, but I think we probably started going live on YouTube, doing live streams in September of, what the hell was it, 2016? No, maybe 16 or 17. I don't know. We've been at it for a few years now. And but we were an internet radio show initially on TFR Live, and still the Friday, Saturday shows are being broadcast on Truth Frequency Radio, as well as iHeart, TuneIn, and TalkStream Live on the Friday and Saturday shows. But that's where we started, and then we just started adding more shows. We did a 2-hour YouTube Wednesday show initially, just as kind of a something to do during the week because it seemed like a long stretch between shows. Then after that, I was like, I feel like I want to put more content out there. I like this, and I want to do more of it. So we added the Night Terrors shows on the other nights. So then it just became a 7 day a week cycle. But in the interim there, we had started the podcast. So we're, which is an audio only format. And we've been on Revolver Podcasts for about a year right now. As a matter of fact, this is like our anniversary. So, yeah. So
happy anniversary.
Yeah.
Happy anniversary. No, I was just kidding. I mean, seriously, happy anniversary. That's great. 1 year on Revolver. Yeah. That's a lot of content. A lot of content to keep pushing out there, and good content, fun stuff to listen to.
Oh, cool.
I know that just the little amount of the stuff that Jake and I do, and this is no excuse, but it seems like it takes a lot of mental energy to do just a little bit of stuff, and you're doing it all the time. What does that feel like?
It's kind of like that old saying, though, and I keep falling back to this because it's really true. It's like, if you find something you love doing it, and you'll never work a day in your life. And it's really that's what the portal is for me. I really do love doing it. I love talking about the paranormal. I think that, it's incredibly significant. It's not just the entertainment where, reality just hiccups and look at that. So weird. Wow, that happened. I think it's more profound than that. And I think to me, what the paranormal demonstrates is a very fluid nature of our reality that seems to defy our traditional understanding of the reality that we live in. So I think there's these are the hints, these are the breadcrumbs, these are the clues of what is possible and what our reality really is. And so I just find it absolutely fascinating.
Eddie, too. It's always mind blowing.
Yeah.
With anything, I don't know if anybody's heard this story. I tell it to some people, but you know, I remember a couple different times when I was a younger kid, maybe like 17. Mind is starting to evolve a little bit. I just looked up at the night sky and saw the whole star system there and the Milky Way galaxy going, and I just looked into it, you know, and I'm just like, what the heck is going on here?
Yeah.
What really is, if it is what they say it is, and these are like so far away and all this stuff is just out there and we're just here, it's like, it just blew my mind completely. And then you have all this other stuff, things on the earth that are so unexplainable and strange.
Right.
It's fascinating. It's very fascinating.
So what is the paranormal here? I mean, now in our reality here, like people kind of put it into two categories, whether it's supernatural or it's written off as religious, or something to do with, you know, a sign, or you know what I mean? Like, I mean, do you feel that? I mean, well, we're talking to the expert here.
Well, I don't, you know, it's kind of like anything else when there's no experts, because, you know, nobody really knows what the hell's going on. We just all have ideas. But you know, I think that it's all the same, right? So it's, some people may equate what they experience as a religious experience, and that's powerful and that's wonderful and great. And I would never detract from that or take away from it. I think that if it is, and it could very well be, I don't pretend to know, but other people think, well, that's just really strange stuff going on. And in either way, it does broaden your mind. It kind of expands your paradigm and the possibilities, I think. So whether it is truly religious and is being done by a divine intelligence interacting with you, or if it's some other kind of intelligence that's, you know, circumventing the laws of physics as we understand them, both are incredibly profound events. And I don't think one is lesser than the other, but you know, just my 2 cents.
Maybe they're both the same thing.
They could be. Yeah. And I guess it would be up to the experiencer, right? So if somebody's looking, you know, for a divine intervention, and then they see their cereal bowl move, it's like, well, God's here. He heard me. God is here. And that person gains a feeling of love and trust and this powerful experience. The other person, another person in that same situation, maybe go, yeah, there's nothing to all this crap. And their cereal bowl moves. And then suddenly their world is expanded. And they're I mean, it's crazy how much effort people will go through in order to preserve their paradigm, because most people don't want that to shift. They don't want the world not to make sense. You know, they love the fact that everything is categorized and labeled and put into its neat place, and their world has order. But go ahead. What?
Comfort zone.
Yeah, comfort. Yeah, exactly. But I think that in all these cases, they have to, at least on some level, recognize that there's a hell of a lot going on here that we don't know. And in our hubris, we like to think that all of this is, you know, this is all sorted, you know, on to the next. But there's so much going on here that we don't know. And I think that is the breadcrumbs of the paranormal. It's reminding us. And it's when I was talking to Ron Moorhead, he was like, he brought up the Tesla line of when we begin to research the non-physical, we'll make more strides, you know, in a decade than we have in all of combined history. And I think this is, you know, part of what he was talking about.
Yeah.
So
interesting. Just a lot to it. You know, I remember growing up as a kid, I was never extremely interested in paranormal activity, ghosts. I was always, you know, maybe watch some movies that have stuff like that in it, but was always really kind of like not convinced that stuff was real. And you know, at some point, I was in my late 20s, early 30s, I think it was when it was. Not that I didn't have maybe some other experiences earlier in life, but there were certain ones in my early 30s, I believe it was, that just were so in my face that totally changed my thought on all of, whatever it may be, ghosts, demons, paranormal, unexplainable, hauntings, whatever it is. It completely changed all of a sudden and over the course of a couple months. And, it's been something I really just thought of as real and there ever since,
So how was that shift for you? Just out of curiosity. I mean, was it hard for you to make that shift, or was it just too much in your face? You couldn't ignore it.
No, it was, I've always been like a very open-minded person with certain things. Well, a lot of different things. And so the part that it was real didn't blow my mind more than the circumstances at hand. Okay. So I'll really break this down and paraphrase this real tight for you. I was in this one house, moved in there with a buddy of mine. We came to find out the place was haunted. Mm-hmm. And it got really bad one particular night when I had a friend from California staying over with me. And it got really, really bad that night in the house. And I had had enough and decided, okay, it's time to get out of here right now. So we moved from there. We just got up and went down to her grandmother's house and decided to spend the night there. And her grandmother was not there at the time. She was, I think, getting taken care of somewhere. And so the place was empty, but the heat was on. And we went there to spend the night to finish the rest of our night's sleep. And that place, that we started hearing all these really crazy noises early in the morning, and woke us right up. And they were so loud and strange. And we looked all over the place and tried to figure out what it was, and went to sleep again and woke up, and it kept happening. Very, very strange stuff. And I'm like, this thing just followed me from that house to this house. And that's what really blew my mind. I was very scared about it. I didn't go to work the next day. I was just freaked out. I went to work, but I told my boss, I said, I got to go. I don't know what I'm doing right now. I don't know where I'm going to be living. I don't know what's going on. But she was a very cool woman. And I actually just came right out and told her, I said, I think there's a ghost following me.
Yeah.
And it blew my mind. It was really scary. And so come to find out, and I know this show wasn't supposed to be about me, but this experience totally, like I said, it blew my mind, and things have been completely different for me since then.
That's cool. Yeah. Very powerful.
Yeah, a little weird. Come to find out, though, that I didn't get followed by a ghost. That both places were haunted. I'm not kidding you. I'm not kidding you. And we have some other friends on YouTube channels, and one of them, KJS Insano. I don't know if you're watching it, but it's your house, and you know it. So, yeah, weird stuff. So I was totally flipping out for a while, thinking that this ghost is following me. I didn't know where it was going to follow me to next. I mean, I was flipping my lid, man. It was tough times. And then just it didn't follow me anymore, and then a couple of years later, my friend moved into the place, and before you know it, he's having experiences there. We come to find out that place is haunted, and it was a weird circumstance.
Wow. Yeah, that's very intense.
It was. Not fun.
So what do you think, Brent? Is there something in the DNA? Is it something? What is it about? Why do some people have this activity and some don't? You think? I mean, who knows? But what's your sense?
Well, the thing that's been occurring to me lately is that there are, I don't know if it's genetic and DNA so much as it is some kind of a spiritual presence. Like, everybody's got a different vibration. I don't know how to say that any other way than the fact that we all have our own unique resonance within, the world we live in. And I think there are some people that, for whatever reasons, they tend to be more intuitive. They tend to be more psychic, if you will. and they tend to be more aware, but they seem to be triggers for activity. But I do think that these events have as much to do with the experiencer as they do the phenomena itself, because you can take other people and put them in the same situation and they won't experience anything. So there's some kind of like a circuit being completed with certain people in certain situations where they will bring out whatever activity is there. And I think it's energetic. I think it's something to do with our resonance or vibration or whatever you want to call it. But some people definitely trigger activity, and some people are like anti-activity, like nothing will ever happen around them. And I think it's I don't believe that spirits are like performing animals either. Like a lot of the shows, the ghost hunting shows, for instance, they like to go into these places and say, okay, well, if you're here, do something to the lights, or, move this, turn this flashlight on, turn it off. And, a lot of spirits were people, like, they're in their funk for whatever reason. They chose not to cross for whatever reason. And I assume this because either they're afraid to cross, or they just don't feel like it was right that they died, or there was some reason they're hanging on to this location. So they're in the place that they're in, and probably the last thing they want is someone coming in and going, like, here, jump through the hoop. Now here, go vacuum your rug. It's kind of an insult. And I think that, if these spirits are or were human beings at one point, and I think a lot of times they were, the last thing they want is somebody come in and start asking them to perform. I think that would be insulting.
Yeah. Spiritual dignity.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. It's like if you were in your house and somebody just showed up, you didn't invite them, they just got there and they started telling you, hey, change the channel. I'm hungry, but go make me a sandwich. How long would that last? So I think that it's a lot the same. I think if you go into an investigation with respect and, showing a lot of, caring and being there to help, I think it'll go a lot further along, but I guess I'm kind of spider webbing here. Sorry.
Brent, I was just wondering on the same, thread that you were weaving there. You say that certain people, have a more sensitivity to it, or it can be triggers to this, phenomenon or whatever. Certain people have more, whatever you want to call it, abilities or whatever. The frequency hits with this stuff. I've noticed just with friends of mine and other people, there's always some kind of connection with people like me and you and Jake and Carrie and lots of other people. I can name a whole bunch of them that are all into, like, they're creators. They have like either some kind of art thing that they do. They're painting. They're making something like that. They're making music. You make music. Me and Jake make music. Carrie makes music. A lot of people that are in this same type of community like we are creative people with kind of like art background thing that they're interested in naturally, that just is part of who they are. And I wonder if there's a connection between that type of stuff and any other thing, like maybe the duds out there that no matter what they do, they can't spark any of this stuff. I wonder if those people are like maybe just, let's just say, jocks. And nothing wrong with being a jock. I mean, I'm an athletic person myself, but maybe some, I'm just putting a stereotype together here. Is there anything like that you've noticed with, like, certain people might be more in tune, and are there any things that put them in a group other than that they're more tuned in?
Well, I think here's the thing. I think that paranormal stuff is happening all the time. I think that's largely the pace of our life makes it hard to pay attention. But if you look at artists, you look at people that create stuff, they're very observant. They're used to looking at the world and breaking it down into sounds or colors or something. And so they're constantly observing their surroundings in that, with that right brain creative sense. And so I imagine that part of that may just be the fact that artistic people are incredible observers, and they notice things that probably a lot of other or analytical or logical people may not notice, because they're looking for the detail. They're always breaking down the details.
Awesome answer.
Oh, great answer.
Really cool. Really
Jeez,
cool.
that's all he has is great answers, Adam. Sorry.
The guy's a pro, seasoned vet. Brett, your channel is growing. We've noticed. We're out there watching your shows. Your channel is growing, and we like to see that. Do you have anything else coming down the pike? Anything new or anything in the back burner you want to talk about that might be coming ahead on anything that you're doing?
I let's see, in the forthcoming stuff. I mean, the show is always evolving, and I think that anytime you have a show, you've got to keep recreating it and adapting it and trying to make it better. So, but nothing that I would say, hey, guess what? Now we're going to start this.
Okay.
So no big announcements. We're going to be taking a little break from our podcast for about a week or so, and so that'll be coming up. But we'll be back in the saddle again. I think after a year of doing 10 plus shows, it's like, yeah, we need a rest. So we're going to give ourselves a little bit of time here.
Well, good for you. Well deserved.
Yeah.
Wicked nice.
Jake, were you raising your hand there, bud?
No, I would say no. Yeah, it's a well-deserved rest. And spring break. I was like party hardy Marty for you can put your feet up for a minute.
Yeah. I mean, what is it? Friday? Is Friday the 1st? Is that right? Yeah, Friday the 1st. Yeah. That's my birthday. So I was like, I think I need to come. Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I hope you have a great one and enjoy it.
Me too.
What were some of the most favorite shows? You've done a ton of shows, obviously. You've done a ton of them. Are there any couple that you can remember being extraordinary in some way? I'm sure there are a bunch of them, but any that pop out to you quickly?
Always my favorite shows have always been the ones where people, and we've had some amazing guests, and I've loved all the guests that we've had on the show, but I think my favorites are always when people tell me their experiences, because I think it's such a display of trust, and it's such a cool experience to hear from the people themselves what they're experiencing and have an opportunity to talk to them. Those are just so powerful to me, and for me personally, those are always my favorite because I when I started the portal, it was probably naive, but I just thought, hey, I'm going to start a show and we're going to have people call in. It's going to be great. The end. Yep. Yeah, it's like you hang out the tile and people just show up. Well, it doesn't work that way. It's a lot of work to get any kind of momentum at all. But when I started getting people emailing and calling in and wanting to be a part of the shows, that to me was a personal triumph because I modeled my idea of the Paranormal Portal pretty much after the Sasquatch Chronicles. I mean, I was a big fan of Wes and the Chronicles for years. When I was working in a cubicle, I'd have my earbuds in and was just listening to all the shows I could, and other shows as well. Don't get me wrong, but I just liked the idea of people calling in, and I learned so much from the people that called in on the shows, and that continues to today. Like when people call in, what I find really interesting is that several people may be experiencing the same kind of phenomena, but the cool part is that every call you get or every email, everybody explains it in a unique way. And one person may mention something that nobody else has ever said before that to me just goes, oh, now that makes sense. Now I understand this or that. And it really kind of helps me connect the dots in my head. My fascination with it is I want to understand it. And that's probably a lofty and impossible goal. But yeah, I just think there's so much important about these events. And I want to understand it. So I don't know if I'll ever achieve that, but I think I get so much closer by the just everyday people that are having experiences calling in and just telling me the way they saw it because I learned so much.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel it's kind of like a right of everyone, Yeah. It's the right we all share. We should have that ability if we just,
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it's the cool thing is to create a space where people feel like it's okay to have that dialogue, because I think in a lot of ways people feel really isolated when they've had terrifying events happen. Who do they tell? Do they want to be that person where everybody goes, that guy over there, he's the one that saw his couch move? I mean, it's not, it's gotten better, but I still think there's still a stigma attached to it. And it's really cool in that, oftentimes after I talk to people, they're like, oh my God, you don't know how good it feels to finally get that off my chest. Like they've been carrying it for years. And, it's a real honor.
Out of these people that, come and talk to you, are there any particular shows that stand out that are terrifying to you? Something about them that sets them apart from, there's a lot of spooky stuff on your shows. There's a lot of it. And if you really think about it and you think about it with an open mind, you know that it's true and this stuff is happening. But that being said, are there any experiences on your show or through your channel that you can remember as being something that was in particular, something a little spooky more than others?
Just in a nutshell, I can say anything that involves kids being targeted.
Ooh.
That to me is terrifying. Because they're these gentle, beautiful little souls, and they're being, singled out by something horrible. And that to me is absolutely, being a father as well. But I mean, just being a human being, that something is attacking children is just about the most contrary thing, and it's like an abomination of such magnitude. Those really bother me, like to a profound level. I think I can't think of any specific stories right off the top of my head that I heard and went, oh man, this one.
Sure.
We've heard so many, and every one of them to me is incredible. But the ones that involve kids to me are really the hardest to listen to. Yeah,
that's a good answer for me. Good enough there. I'm right there with you. What about in your own personal experiences other than the show? Are there, you do these shows, there's got to be some reason why you're doing this stuff. If you had any extraordinary experiences yourself, ones that you like your top two or something like that.
I got several. I've had several haunting events where I've experienced ghost in hauntings. I've lived in haunted houses before, so I can relate to what you're talking about. And I think also, just to put it out there, I think that doing a paranormal show is also a magnet for this kind of stuff, because I'll go through periods where I'm doing all kinds of stuff.
Jake, I got to end it right here, bud. Okay, I got something to do downstairs.
What?
I'm kidding with a joke there.
He's getting scared.
Yeah, I'm getting scared. I did, Jake. I know I'm taking the mic. I'm taking a lot of mic space up, but I want to talk to Brent real quick about something that he may or may not know about the situation out in Thrains, Jake.
Tell him.
So a lot of people out here might already know the story. This just started happening. We've been living here for almost 3 years. No paranormal activity whatsoever, nothing. And then about a month ago, maybe a little over a month ago, what started happening is there was a light switch out in my shed. I'd be out in my shed hanging out, and that's the light switch. See, I know it doesn't have a cover on it, guys. It's an OSHA violation right there. I'm going to burn the house down. But the light, I would make sure that switch was down and off. I would go to walk out the door, and when I went to look back behind me, I would notice a light on, and the switch would be up. See that switch? It would be up just like that, physically up, and the light that was once like this was now all of a sudden like this. And this happened just in about 2 seconds behind my back. And then I was like, okay, I know I shut that off. I went back, I shut it off again, and I got out of there and went back inside. And I was spooked out. I was scared. And I was like, no, there has to, maybe I flicked it. It's one of those pressure switches, the old ones where you can get them almost all the way, and they're sitting there, and then they go back the other direction. I'm thinking maybe that's what it was. And then it was like a couple weeks later, same thing happened. And I'm chatting with Jake when this is happening. I go out to the shed, and same exact thing. Turn around, and the light's on again. And I'm just like, no way. Because the second time it happened, I knew for a fact that I hit the switch. I made sure to hit it all the way. All the way. So it was completely off. I knew it. And I turned around and the light was on, and I went back and I looked and the switch was back up. And that was like, then at that point, I'm like, okay, something's going on. And I don't know what it is, because it just all of a sudden started happening. And there was nothing here before, nothing. And then last weekend, I have a little fire going outside. I'm sitting outside enjoying the sunset, having a fire. I come inside to grab something. I don't know, get a new battery for my something. I don't know what I came inside for. But I was just coming inside quick to go right back outside, and I notice on my countertop is a bottle of Windex on my countertop. Okay. And I know for a fact that I did not put it there. I didn't put the Windex there. I would know if I did. And so I said to my girlfriend, I said, oh, looks like you got in the mood for cleaning all of a sudden. And she just started laughing, ha, ha, ha. And I thought, okay, whatever. And then once we came in for the night, I showed her the Windex. I go, yeah, what were you doing with the Windex anyway? What's the deal with that? She goes, I thought you were joking, and I didn't put that there. And I'm like, and this is during COVID. There's no one in and out of our house. We're the only ones here, you know? And then we're outside at a fire, and I come inside, and there's a bottle of Windex it was full bottle of Windex on the countertop. Weird, huh? What's your thoughts on this? Because I've been wanting to talk to you about this.
Well, I mean, the obvious question is, do you know the history of the house, of the location? Do you know who owned it or what happened? Anything happened?
You know, I was talking to Jake earlier tonight, and I didn't put this together until today, and I'm not sure if it was because this show, I knew it was amping up, but like we had like a late breakfast brunch thing today, and I was cooking in the kitchen, and all of a sudden this thought came popping in my head about the guy that lived here. Yeah. And I'm not going to say any names or anything, but I do remember that kid the man and his wife had a tragedy in their family where they had the youngest of 3 daughters, I believe, die somehow. I don't remember how she died, but she definitely passed away when she was a little kid. And I don't know if they lived here then, or if they lived over in the other house then, or they lived in like 3 different places during the time around when that happened. And I didn't even think about that at all until just today.
Yeah, what you're describing doesn't sound malicious. It sounds, to me, what it sounds like is, I'm here. It
doesn't feel it either. It doesn't feel. Yeah. I don't get any negative vibe. I just get that unknowing weirdness that creeps you out, regardless of how nice whatever is. You know?
Yeah. Yep. Right. And so what I think is just going on is that someone is probably there, and I don't know if it's the girl or not. I guess I was kind of getting impressions about some old guy that used to like to work in the shed or whatever, and maybe it was a workshop. He passed on, but he chose to stick around, and he might be like, no, I'm not done yet, or that might have been his favorite place. That might have been his place that he was happiest, and so that's where he may linger. But in any case, it doesn't seem aggressive in any way. It's just little signs like, I'm here. So I guess what I would suggest right off the bat, if you're comfortable with this, but is to have a dialogue. Go into your shed and say, look, I realize you're here. Here's the deal. I'm okay if you're here, if you don't do this, and if you can respect me, not scare me, not move things, leave the lights off. I don't want to pay that bill, and just put it out there, because actually 90% of people that have things take off like that, if they acknowledge it. We covered a story one time where they had this haunting in an apartment. It was an old stone type of building in, I think it was New York. And this younger guy moved in, and he and a roommate, and they were having all kinds of problems, things getting broken and thrown around and stuff. And so what they chose to do was they chose to give the guy a name. They assumed it was a guy for whatever reasons, I don't remember, but they chose to call him Charlie. And so they just said, every time they came in, hey, Charlie, I'm home, and just take a few minutes, and they would talk about their day. And once they started acknowledging that presence, everything died down, and it was calm and wonderful. It was like for some reason, and I imagine if these are formerly human presences, they may just want to be acknowledged. And could you imagine just being in some place for whatever reason, but everybody there doesn't talk to you. They don't look at you, that, you can be waving your arms like, hey, I'm here, and nobody says a thing. I imagine it would be kind of scary and sad. So I think that acknowledgement may actually just be all you need. Just lay down some ground rules and say, here's the deal. If you continue to have problems, let me know, because one of the good things about the show is that we're in contact with several people that do this kind of thing regularly, taking care of, and they can do it remotely. They've had nothing but great results, people getting a lot of wonderful help. And so, let me know, because we can certainly help you.
That's great. I have that's kind of how I approached it too. I have gone in there. I didn't go into detail like you were saying with the light bill and everything, but I did say, hey, just so you know, this is not fun for me. I don't like being messed with like this. And I go, just quit that, and we'll be fine. Just don't mess with me, and everything will be just fine. I love it out here, and I like what you said with the guy, maybe that was like his favorite spot. Jake knows it's one of our favorite places to hang out. It's just a cool little kind of room, environment, space. So I don't know, very interesting. But thanks a lot for the feedback, because everything you just said makes me feel better already. So
good. Yeah, I think it's just, if you acknowledge it, see what happens. But if it goes sideways, let me know. I got your back.
Yeah, thanks, buddy. Thank you.
Boy, it's good to have friends. It's very good in these times.
Amen, brother.
When was your first paranormal experience, Brent? Do you remember?
Now, by paranormal, I mean everything, like Bigfoot, UFO, and everything.
It's all related in some way, yeah. Unexplainable.
My first experience, I believe, I encountered a Bigfoot. I never saw it, but it was when I was about 14, and I was hiking with a friend of mine. The home I grew up in abutted next to a forest preserve in Minnesota. And we would always go hiking up the bluff, and that was kind of our thing, which was in that forest. And so we'd hike up there, and we were up there all the time during the summers and stuff. It was just kind of our getaway place, And one day we went hiking up there, and we got up to the top of the bluff, and it started getting to be like towards the later part of the afternoon. So we're like, yeah, we better get back before it's dark, because you don't want to come off a forested hill in the pitch black. And so we started working our way down, and we were going down this dry run, and it's kind of looks like a dry riverbed, and it's just been etched into the limestone over, centuries or millennia of melt off. And so it's created these ravines that are going down, and there's waterfalls and stuff but it's all dry 99% of the year. It's just during the spring melt where these things flow. So we're working our way down this dry run, down the hill. And we got to this one part, which was a dried up waterfall, and it has this shelf and kind of like a circular face to it. And so we were just standing on the edge there, and behind is about 12 feet, and then the rest of the rocks, and it starts going up. So we climbed down there, and everything was fine, but we stopped at the edge of that waterfall. It's about an 8-foot drop, and we were just getting a breath and looking, just talking, whatever, relaxing. And we just stood there, and suddenly behind us, and I'm talking like right behind us, not like 100 yards or something, but like right behind us, like by a matter of feet, something started growling. And the area of Minnesota that I grew up in, the biggest thing we had there was white-tailed deer, and they don't growl. We don't have bears. We don't have any mountain lions that we knew of, or there's never been a report of that. And whatever was growling was so big that it vibrated my body. It was vibrating my body, and I was absolutely locked up in terror. I couldn't move, couldn't do anything. And now it's not that I wasn't able to move. It's just that I didn't dare move. Whatever was growling was so big and so intimidating. And I knew that it was about to kill us. I mean, that's where my head was at. Whatever made this sound, I don't know what it was. And for the life of me, I didn't want to know what it looked like. I didn't want to know what was going to kill me looked like. That was the one solace I was going to take, is that I didn't see it, and I was just thinking, God, let this go quick. And finally it continued growling for, several seconds, and it wasn't attacking. And so my friend finally said, or no, I said to him, I said, what the hell is that? He's a year older than me, and he might know. And he was like, I don't know, but we got to get the hell out of here. And so, they always advise, don't run away. But when you're in that situation, it's fight or flight. And I knew whatever made that sound was way out of my fight category. It was going to kill me. So we flighted and we ran down the hill and I think we ran for a solid mile through like a boulders and all of this treacherous passage. How we didn't die on the way down, I don't know, but it was terrifying. And for, back in this time, I had no idea that Bigfoot was everywhere. Bigfoot was in the Pacific Northwest because that's what Leonard Nimoy told me on In Search of. Yeah. That was my exposure. That was it. So I didn't know what made this noise behind me, but it was huge and it resonated. It rumbled. It was just so powerful. And it wasn't until like maybe 15 years ago about 10 years ago that I finally really started looking into the Bigfoot phenomena, started learning about signs that people claim are a result of them and things to look for. And I went back up in those woods with my oldest son. And sure enough, I was finding tree breaks, sapling, 6-inch trees folded over. And I found what looked like a little shelter. It was very small though. And so I don't understand that, but there was not a cut stick in that made that shelter. It was very rudimentary. And that's not the pictures I sent you, by the way, but this is I do have pictures of that, but I couldn't dig those up in time for today's show. But it was just that all of a sudden this sign was all over the place. And I was like, oh my God. And suddenly that growl might've made sense, that it was that, because I can't think of what else can growl like that.
Yeah.
It was absolutely terrifying. So that was my very first out of the gate paranormal experience that I can think of.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I mean, people say that, have you had an eyewitness account? And, from my personal experiences, the first one that made me really get into this was an audio experience, and it happened from well over a quarter mile away. But it was so powerful, Brent, that it vibrated the panes of glass in the building that I was in. You could hear them going like vibrating.
Wow.
You could tell. And then when I went outside, you could tell how far away it was, and it was at least a quarter mile away from us over in Squatch country. DJ call that now. Quick question. A lot of people are dying to know the answer to this. How the heck did you get paired up with this guy?
Don and I used to work together. That's where we met each other. And I had already started doing the portal while we were working together. And Don was like, he and I would talk, and I always like to talk about this stuff. So even when I wasn't doing the show, I was talking about this stuff. And it turns out he's really, had done a lot of research into the UFO phenomena. So I finally one day just said, hey, do you want to come onto the show and talk about, some UFO phenomena? He's like, sure. And he came over and he, sat in for a show. And then, he and I just started talking, and I had him back, I think 1 or 2 other times. And I started getting feedback from people like, oh, that's really cool. You found a great co-host. And I was like, whoa, yeah, this is working good. And Don and I get along really, really well. So it's very easy for us to, get together and talk, and we have a great time. And, we just have a good time. I love him, and he's been a dear friend in many ways. So
you guys are a great team. We love you guys together. It's just a great team. It's awesome.
Thanks. Well, you guys as well.
Well, thanks. Yeah. I know that you had Jake. Am I blabbing too much?
No, I don't see that. Survey says not to my knowledge, Adam.
Okay. Well,
good mixture.
You were just talking quickly about when Don had some UFO stuff happen. I do have a clip of an interesting video clip of something that might be a UFO. Do we want to see that?
Yeah.
And what's the backstory on this? Where did this come from?
Okay, so this is my experience with UFOs. I all my life had an open mind about UFOs. I just never had seen one, and I was always frustrated by that. I'm always looking at the night sky, looking for something, anything. I never saw one, and so it was for the same company that Don and I met each other. I used to live in Minnesota, as I mentioned, but at that time I would telecommute, and I lived there and worked remotely and stuff. But the company changed its headquarters up to here in the north of Idaho, and so I came up here for a business trip for the company, and the owner of the business had a home that used to be a mountain cabin, but he had it redone and made it his home, but they hadn't moved in yet. So since I was traveling in from out of town, he said, rather than put you up in a hotel, you just want to stay at the house. I'm like, well, yeah, that'd be cool. And so I was up in this mountain area all alone. It's an old kind of a logging road. There's other cabins on this road, but there's no year-round houses up there. So it was early spring, and I was up there, and it was night, and I knew he had night vision binoculars because he showed them to me, and I thought, oh, that's really cool. And I wanted to check out the night sky, and because most of the stars in our galaxy are red stars, and you can't see them so well with the naked eye. So I wanted to see what the stars look like with the infrared night vision binoculars. Now they're only 4-power binoculars, so it's not a huge amount of magnification, but so I was up there one night. So this is a long story to get to the clip, but I'm trying to abridge it as much as I can. But so I'm out. I got up there after the business was done for the day, went up to the cabin and was staying up there. And I pulled out the night vision binoculars and I went out on the driveway in front of the house. And there's no light pollution or anything. So the stars up there are just brilliant. It's just amazing, clear sky. And there was a bit of a moon, so it was illuminated a bit anyway. But I'm out there with these night vision binoculars looking at the stars, and it's incredible. If you ever get a chance, look at the constellations with night vision binoculars because you won't recognize any of them anymore. There's so many new stars and stuff. It's incredible. And there's geometric shapes in these stars, like squares of groupings and stuff. It's amazing. So I would highly recommend that. But I was looking around, and then I'm just playing because I never really played with night vision binoculars before. And I'm looking around, looking at the valley side. The way the house is situated, there's a valley, and on the bottom of the valley is a stream. It's called Trout Creek. And the opposite side, there's no houses on. It's just forest. It's just a huge mountain. And so I'm looking over across from the side that I'm on, which is where the house is, up the other side of the valley. And I'm looking at the trees over there, and I'm marveling at how I can see so clearly with night vision. And just having fun. And then I looked down the driveway at the side that I'm on, and the driveway had like a switchback to go down in elevation. And I could see all of that. And I was just having a blast. And then all of the trees up here are like these huge pine trees, like ponderosa pines and whatever. And I'm panning up, and I just take the binoculars and I pan up the big tree that's right next to the driveway. And I go up above there, and I'm going to look at the stars again, except when I got about 30 feet above the tree, about 100 to 150, maybe 200 yards away from me, there is floating above the tree is a flying saucer. And I'm talking the flying saucer, the 2 pie plates, but they don't come to a point. In between the 2 pie plates, there's like a gap that have these panels. There's these panels in that gap, and they're flashing around with lights on, off, and like a sequence around it. And I actually drew a picture of what I saw. And I'll put this up to hopefully you guys can see it. But that's essentially what I saw through the night vision binoculars. And I was like, wow, it's there. And I was amazed. It was absolutely silent, and it made no noise. But it was flashing lights. So it was flashing lights. And I'm looking at it through the night vision binoculars. I'm like, oh my God, I got to see this with my own eyes. I lower the binoculars, and there's absolutely nothing floating above that tree, just stars. There's nothing there. I put the binoculars back up. It's there. It's there floating above the tree. Put the binoculars down. It's invisible. I can't see it. It's not there. And I'm like, oh my God, they can cloak. They can hide. And then I'm thinking, oh my God, they could be anywhere. They could be floating above your house right now. You wouldn't know it. And so I'm standing out there for probably 15, 30, 45 seconds doing this and just having a moment. And then it just occurred to me, I'm up in this mountain area alone. There's absolutely nothing going on in this mountain area except me. and I'm here looking at them. Chances are they're above that tree looking at me. And I'm going, oh God, this is about as real as I need it to be. So I just shut everything off, went inside, locked the doors. I was like, okay, I'm done. And that was I didn't feel I needed any probing that night, so I just decided to call it a night. But that was my experience, and no other experiences after that night. That was it. It was just a one-off thing. However, when I got done with that trip, I bought those night vision binoculars. I'm like, I don't care. I bent my plastic on it and got a pair because I had to keep looking. And so the video that you have is actually was filmed in 2018, right out my door here, looking up at the sky. And I'm facing north. And what you're seeing is what you will see is a light anomaly moving across the sky from let's see if I'm looking north, from west to east. And it's brighter than the stars around, made no noise. And the fact that it's shining light, it can't be an airplane because airplanes use lights, but they point them the direction they're going. They don't shine them all around. So this thing is traveling away from me. Maybe it's going like in a northeast direction, but I did manage to catch that because I rigged a cheap old GoPro knockoff to the lens of the binoculars and was able to record that.
Nice. Yeah, that's
let's
incredible.
give everybody a little show here then. Let's let everybody watch this. There's no sound to this clip. I had to chop it down, Brent. You can only put so much on here.
Sure.
But hopefully, it gets the job done. People can show it. Let's check it out. Pretty cool stuff. Definitely a UFO without doubt. What is it? I don't know. Now, could you see that when you didn't have the night vision on? Could you see it still? Or
I never did take down the night vision to look. I just wanted to make sure to keep it into frame. Gotcha. So I just kept my eyes peeled on it and just made sure I was aiming the right way.
Of course. Yeah. Talk about this picture. I can see toes in that thing.
Yeah.
Where was this? Were you with Don when you got this one too?
Don and those are from the series of pics that Don and I. Well, Don is in. I'm actually taking the pictures. The situation here was Don got contacted by a homeowner who had 30 chickens and were suddenly down to 9, and there was no blown feathers or anything. There was a hole in the surrounding of their chicken pen, and like there was a tarp that was torn. And there were chickens being taken from there, but there was no usual predation signs. So like when a chicken is caught by a fox or whatever, they'll shake the hell out of it and kill it and then carry it off, or a raccoon or whatever. And so what was found by the homeowner then was they were kind of walking in the woods behind their house, and they found this weird structure. And that's it. Those are the images from that structure, and it's this rudimentally woven with these huge branches, these huge tree branches that are broke off of the trees surrounding it, and you can see the broken ends there. And so it was incredibly big. That was where the picture of Don was next to it, reaching up. But it had a huge. The interior of it can be seen right in front of Don. There's like an opening on the back and kind of an opening on the front. And I don't know if it's, if it was just some kind of blind they set up, but we think it was Sasquatch. I mean, if you look at that, you can see like some of the branches go out and then in and then out, like they were kind of woven into that pattern. So,
Stuff all
what was that?
We see this stuff all the time.
Yeah. So we went and checked it out, and actually that footprint was found about a quarter mile away, heading up the mountain away from this area. And you know, there's a little aspen leaf on the ground there, and those are about 3 inches long. So that gives you an idea of the scale of what the foot is. I didn't lay something down. I should have took a dollar bill or something, put it down.
Very cool stuff. Very, very cool stuff.
Can I try and share a serendipitous story, if I may? Geez Louise, I'm getting goosebumps over here.
Okay.
Oh, now we're getting to it.
Something. Speaking of interwoven, you know, not intricate, but this afternoon, every other 3 days or so between the rain, I'd like to go down to the South 40 and see if I can't harvest some standing dead ash to chop up and throw in the firebox, right? Because it's a little cool here. So I'm going down there and I'm making these little videos that I'm going to send to Adam for BLB logging or BLB whatever, these little shorts. And I'm just filming a little by chance, and I walk around this old stone wall and I look down and I'm like, oh, what's this? It's a little, you know, and I'm showing the trees and the blowdowns and, you know, talk about X's and stuff like that here where there's been logging, you know. It's not, you know, it's not Bigfoot, you know, you can see it's whatever. But, and I look down next to the stone wall and this old split rail fence covered with moss. And there's like this little cage, like the split rail fence is 3 feet high. And there's these branches that looks like a little dome, only there's no, you know, and I have it on video, there's no covering over it or anything. And I'm like, oh, wow, that's a pretty weird coincidence that they fell in this little cage. And then I look through and the branches are they're interwoven. And I'm like, wow, is this someone setting up a little trap or you know, or a snare, or I don't know, something, just something weird that caught my eye. And again, going into the paranormal, 3 or 4 days ago, I was out at the garage and I tied my electrical cables from the skill saw to an extension cord in a certain way. And then I went in and I had dinner and sat down. Adam, I haven't told you, man.
I know.
It's the weirdest thing is when I tie them this way, I never tie them this way, right? I always do like a little pretzel at the end when I'm connecting lines. So there's a connect. So this way, I put the ends together and I turned it around and ran 2 through the holes and connected them like that. And I had this weird feeling like, oh man, you never do that, blah, blah, blah. But it was something weird. And I left it and I came back an hour and a half, 2 hours later to finish sawing up those ash trees. And my electrical cables were not done in that way. They were just end to end straight together. And I always do a pretzel, but this time I didn't do a pretzel. I put them together. I made a big loop. I ran them through and I made it weird. And I had this little tingly feeling, like one of those feelings that, you know, I've only had 5 times. But I'm like, why am I getting this feeling tying this cable together is what I thought. Because, you know, like I said, I've only had this feeling, this tingle, I'll call it, like about 5 times. I'm almost 50. So once every 10 years, I had this tingle. And I just had one like Wednesday or Tuesday. And when I came back, my electrical cords were straight together. So is our Brent, are you sending ghosts over here? What's going on? Contact Paranormal. We're in the Paranormal Portal, Adam. What is happening?
I know. Jake was talking earlier to me before we did our little promo, and we were just saying that, you know, things lately are becoming more paranormal with me and Jake, and we don't know what's going on. We don't know if there's some reason for this or if there's a connection we don't know of yet or what's going on, but there's these little things outside of our normal BLB stuff that is happening to us, and it's been happening since like the lockdown, COVID lockdown. Me and Jake aren't able to closely be, do our regular routine where we're, together and we go out and we shoot in the field, or we get together and do something collab in the studio together. But this other stuff is happening with some paranormal activities somewhat. Jake, should we talk to our guest about the going rafting, maybe down the rapids? I think it's that time. I think it's
really?
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't even. Oh my goodness, are you serious? I haven't even. I usually I like to do a little practice run. Well, maybe. Okay, all right. So here's the deal. I hate to sprint. Is my mic too hot?
You sound good.
Okay, all right. So, Mr. Thomas,
I gotta get the stopwatch going first.
Okay, yeah. Well, we like to have this little section in our show we like to call the rapids, or the hot seat, or whatever. There's a lot of different names, so we'll call it rapids since it's a mountain stream show. We'll go with that vernacular.
Through the Narrows, down through the rapids.
It's a little contest, and it's kind of like the Family Feud. Top 100 people asked, top 5 answers on the board, blah, blah, blah. Only, it's the top 10. It's kind of a race, and it kind of depends on how fast I can get through these. And forgive me for not reading through them before we started, but hey, long story longer. Are you ready, sir, to shoot the rapids on the mountain stream?
I'll do my best. No pressure.
I think that's a big yes, Jake. I think that's a big yes.
Because it would take 90 minutes for me to tell you what happened on 60 minutes per hour. Anyway, all right. Adam's going to put a stopwatch on the clock. And do we start when I start talking, or after the first answer?
I'm going to say ready, set, go, and I'm going to hit it. Now, Jake, when you're done with the last question, say finished, so I know when to stop.
All right. We'll drop the mic. Okay, Brent, are you ready, sir?
Sure. Is there a category that I need to tune in?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'm glad you asked. Oh man, the category is you. Okay.
Me.
So we want to know about you.
I should know
so
that.
It's kind of like a free association answer. It's kind of Rorschach test, only given through with words instead of pictures, and by the BLB.
Okay.
Everybody on the new mountain stream has to go through this.
Okay.
Rite of passage. Brent, are you ready?
I hope so.
Jake, are you ready?
I'm going to try to read. Hold on. All right. Okay. All right. I think I am. On your marks. Okay. You
ready, set, go.
McDuff's or Baxter's?
McDuff's.
Shoestring, planks, or tater tots?
Tater tots.
Have you ever seen Pepe the Lake Monster?
No.
You get one desert island record. What is it?
Oh, music? Pink Floyd, The Wall.
The Fat Pig or the Back Door?
What the hell was that? The what?
The Fat Pig or the Back Door?
Fat Pig. I don't know.
Fanny packs, yes or no?
What was that? I'm sorry, you're distorting.
Fanny packs, yes or no?
No.
Ever have an Aaron Paul sighting in Sandpoint?
Never.
Talk to a ghost or see Dogman?
Talk to a ghost.
Flat, pear-shaped, or who cares?
Pear-shaped.
Midnight Oil or Iron Maiden?
Iron Maiden.
Okay, we're going to give you a 5-second break for the technical difficulties, Adam. We're going to call it after Iron Maiden. We'll get back and throw his, answers on the. Man, you made it. You made it. Sorry about that.
No, that's cool. That's good.
Boy, that was rough.
Oof.
That was good. I thought he did really good. I didn't know when it ended because.
Okay. Oh, sorry. I didn't say that. But after he said Iron Maiden, we can just chop it off.
We can find out. We can go back. We can go back and do the real deal.
You take my life, but I'll take yours too.
Very good, Brent. I don't know if anybody out there has had as much fun as I have having you be on our show as a guest. It really means a lot to me that you took the time out of your super hectic, busy schedule, and you got on with us. That means a lot to me. Shows a lot of character, and just thank you so much. Everybody knows that coming on with the BLB is a gamble. You never know what you're going to get. You never know what kind of state of mind the boys might be in. You just don't know.
That's true.
It's been my sincere pleasure, gentlemen. I've loved it, and I sincerely want to get you on the portal. So we got to talk. I want to extend the invitation again.
I'm your Huckleberry.
I know a guy.
It sounds great, gentlemen. No, I loved it. I love talking about this stuff, and I love you guys. So it's a natural mix.
Yeah, thank you so much, man. Feel the same way.
We got a whole lot more too to talk about. This is tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah, very good. Jake, anything else you want to add? Anything else you want to say to our guest here tonight?
Oh, yeah. Just what you've already covered all the bases. We love you guys. Thanks for dropping in. Appreciate you. Peace and hair grease from the Northeast.
Well said. Well said. Brent, thank you so much for coming on. Jeremy, thank you for being who you are. You mean the world to me. Guys are awesome. Next time you see that long beard fellow, please give him a sincere hello personally from me. Tell him I said, hey, what's up, brother? That'd be great. And have a great night. Anybody that's been out there in the live chat, sorry tonight. We just shut that right down. We went right after this guest. We knew he was going to have a lot of important things to say, so we narrowed our focus right on what he was saying. So we'll go back and check the stuff out. Hopefully you guys had a good time tonight. Jake, thank you so much again, brother.
Thanks, Brent. Thanks, Adam.
Brent.
Thanks, Shadows. You guys rock. Titan, Squatch, Lee. Mike, come on.
Catch you on the other end of the portal.
All right.
No outside. See you at night.